What's up, YouTube? I am Dave Winchester of Lost Save Gaming, and this is Lost Games, the weekly show where I bring to your attention games that may not have gotten the recognition they deserved. This week I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite original Xbox games, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
In a time when the world was young and demons ran unfettered across the face of the earth, the powers that be chose a young woman, one girl in all the world, to combat the forces of darkness. Upon her death, the power passed to another, and another, down over the millennia, with each girl inheriting the power of her predecessor, the power of the Slayer.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer on Xbox was released back in 2002 by The Collective, a small developer that had gone on to make a handful of other games and eventually became part of Double Helix. Buffy the Vampire Slayer was the most impressive of the bunch, boasting a custom game engine called Slayer, which was able to provide solid physics and breakable objects, as well as impressive character models and realistic facial animations. What's even more unique is the fact that it's one of only a handful of games based on a television show that scored favorably with fans and critics, averaging 79% on Metacritic with a 9.1 user score. The game takes place during Season 3 of the show. Buffy is still going to Sunnydale High School, and it's a treat to be able to see the sights from the show in the game. As Buffy, you get to visit all of your favorite locations, from the Bronze to Sunnydale High School and even Angel's Mansion and the cemetery. So if you are a fan of the show, you will get a huge kick out of being able to walk around these environments and seeing the care that went into crafting them. The amount of detail is actually impressive. Walking around the stacks in the library or fighting vampires in the Bronze is surreal, since they are almost exact recreations of the sets from the show. A great deal of care went into the story as well. The dialogue is well written and is voiced by a majority of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer cast, minus Sarah Michelle Gellar herself. Luckily, the voice actress they brought in to play Buffy sounds almost identical and delivers most of her lines better than the actual cast. The script for the game provides an excellent story which feels like it could have just been an episode in Season 3, but it also has the wit and humor that you would expect from the franchise. Although it doesn't take much inspiration from the show when it comes to the soundtrack, barring the theme song which is used in the game's intro, it still has great music throughout. Its creepy score fits perfectly with the atmosphere of the game, and the sound effects are also worth noting since every punch, kick, and fall sound as brutal as they look. My favorite part of the game is the combat. It's smooth and varied, offering dozens of different moves and combos, and you will need them all when fighting the variety of enemies the game throws at you. The interesting part of the combat is the way you have to kill the various vampires, demons, and zombies. Vampires have to be staked, decapitated, doused in holy water, lit on fire, or thrown into sunlight. The zombies have to be decapitated or pounded into dust, and demons need to be impaled or hit enough times in their weak spot to be dispatched. Killing these different enemies is always satisfying, and nothing feels better than executing that perfect combo and ending it with a stake in a vampire's chest. Luckily, the game provides a number of different weapons to take out the forces of darkness as well. While at the start of the game you may only have your trusty wooden stakes to keep you alive, the Scooby Gang eventually provides you with a hefty arsenal, which includes a super soaker filled with holy water or hellfire, a crossbow, and even a nice circular hand blade which is great for decapitation purposes. Don't have a weapon handy? The game also provides you with environmental hazards to use as well. Tossing a vamp into a pile of 2x4s or into a nice sunny balcony and watching them turn to dust is not only cool, but makes you feel intelligent for using what's around you to take out the enemy rather than brute force. Having played games like Sleeping Dogs and The Witcher 3, which both feature similar combat systems, I still find myself wishing that it was more like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It definitely feels different from anything else I've ever played, but in a very good way. The game isn't perfect though, and it does have a few issues here and there. There are platforming sections towards the end of the game that can be frustrating. You can tell the game is geared more towards combat, so I don't know why the sections are there in the first place, but they are short for the most part and won't cause you to rage quit. Characters' faces can sometimes get stuck for no reason during cutscenes, especially Willow when she uses crystals to increase Buffy's life and energy bars. Her eyes will sometimes stay shut for no apparent reason. The lock-on system during combat can also be a problem. It's used as the block button, and when facing multiple enemies it can sometimes be difficult to target the right one. Attacking enemies on the ground can also be an issue, since sometimes Buffy will punch or stomp the ground next to the enemy instead of actually hitting them. And last but not least, the witty one-liners that Buffy delivers during combat and while exploring can become repetitive, and hearing the same ones repeated dozens of times can get irritating after a few hours. The minor problems that the game has shouldn't stop you from enjoying it though. The good far outweighs the bad when it comes to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If you are a fan of the show or just looking for a game with great combat and an entertaining story, you should hunt it down and give it a try. Conveniently, it also works flawlessly on the Xbox 360 thanks to its backwards compatibility patch, so you don't have to dig up your old original Xbox to play it. That's going to be it for this episode of Lost Games. If you liked the video, make sure you click the like button, and if you want to see more of my content, you can also subscribe. If you have any recommendations for future episodes, you can leave them in the comments section below, along with any other feedback that you might have for the show. That's going to be it for today, and I hope to see you next time. Have a good one.